Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Taylor, and you are listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, your weekly digest of hobby goodness. Joining me this week is a knight of the Marvel Roundtable, or should that be a Marvel Knight of the Roundtable? You may know him as I'll put my teeth in.
Bloody hell, mate.
Bloody hell, indeed. You know what? I'm going to carry on. I'm going to keep this in. I'm going to use it. You may know him as True Blue Collectibles on YouTube. Everyone else knows him as enormously patient Nathan Brabon.
Good morning. How are you, sir? How are you
I'm
today?
all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I
Excellent.
got through it. I got through it. Now, you are people who know you and have kind of seen you on YouTube will know your voice. People who only do this by the audio version are in for a treat. Now, I know you've had this said before, and you're probably really sick of it, but you have a mighty fine voice for this stuff. Just
Well,
say
thank you.
something to me. Just say something to me.
Well, here we are reading our evening news.
Mm.
Man, yeah, so I've had that said a lot. Derper Derper Doo calls me Velvet Thunder.
Velvet Thunder. Now,
Velvet Thunder.
if you're a wrestler, would that be across your leotard?
My
Velvet
goodness, could you
Thunder.
imagine that?
Uh,
It's just got the little fuzzies on there. It's not the smooth spandex anymore. It's got the little fuzzy velvet. It's got the lightning bolt going through it.
You've given this a lot more thought than I have, because wow. Okay. And we're starting off as we mean to go on here on the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. The one thing I didn't ask you, excuse me, is who you wanted to intro the episode. Because we always give our guests the opportunity to either they can record their own intro, or on the audio version, we usually have an artist do an introduction. We've got loads of them banked. So I guess my first question, and we'll find this out through the episode. Sometimes the artist intro finds you. Are you into sketch cards?
Not that I seek them out, but if I pull a nice one that I PC, so my top four for I give my top four because the last three are interchangeable, really. Wolverine, because I just love Wolverine from the early 90s comics and the cartoons and stuff. So he's always my favorite character, but he is an expensive guy to collect.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously I got to compete with the likes of you for Black Cat. And then
you're a Black Cat collector.
I'm a Black Cat guy. I
Nice.
love some Black Cat.
Ooh.
And then I have Domino and Rogue are my next two. And really, Domino and Rogue can really interchange, but I don't go out of my way to find sketch cards for those characters. But if I pull a character sketch card like that, or if I can like trade into a sketch card of that character, then I'll do that. You know what I mean? But I'm not going out there on the internet and searching on eBay for those specific character sketch cards to like try to get as many of them as I can.
I've done that. It's a very, very it's a tough gig actually, because there's fewer sketch cards out there these days than there used to be when I started. So which is probably for the best anyway. I should probably show you my box of this is my box of duplicates.
Okay.
As I call it. So these are my duplicate Black Cat cards. Because all my PCs, and so you never know, there might be something in here for you. Who knows? So your True Blue Collectibles on YouTube. So tell me about how that started and why True Blue Collectibles, because I've got no frame of reference for it.
Yeah, no problem. I'll go back to kind of when I started collecting. So I started as a 10-year-old in 1990. So I'm 40. Jesus, what am I now? 43 now. Yeah. 43 now, yeah. Just this past January. But I started as a 10-year-old, and what got me into the hobby, not Marvel cards specifically, but into sports cards, basketball. Michael Jordan was hot then. I was doing like 4 paper routes as a 10-year-old, and the little shopette down the road from us had NBA hoops packs for like 50 cents a pack. So that was a great way for me to go spend my money, get some pop or a candy bar or something, buy a whole bunch of packs of cards, rip them open. And even from that point in time, I've always been a binder person. I've always loved trying to build my set. And of course, as you know, back in the 90s, it was easy to build a master set, getting 36 boxes. Yeah, 36 packs per box, and
you got your
almost
binders.
clear up a whole set. Yeah, you got almost a whole set in the first box minus your inserts. You know, we'd pick up the Beckett magazine every week or every month and use that for trading and stuff like that. So even then, comps and valuation was a part of the hobby even then.
Mm.
You know, you can't trade away a Shaquille O'Neal rookie for, you know, a base David Robinson card. You know, you just couldn't do it. But the first set that ever caught my eye was when I went to another hobby shop, and they were like an all-purpose hobby shop. They had RC cars, little HO train tracks, comic books, sports cards, comic book cards, everything. They were a one-stop shop for hobbyists. And the first set I ever saw there was 1994 Flair, and they had a single card out in the case for that set, and it was the upside down maximum carnage card with Venom hanging from the ceiling with the fire dripping off of it.
Yeah.
And I got hooked on cards, man. I got hooked on the Marvel stuff so quick. I bought a bunch of boxes back then. But then I kind of got out of it as I got farther into high school, like my junior, senior year. Girls came into the equation and cards kind of got pushed out, right? And then much like everybody else that's out there, you know, I never really got back into it again. Like it was always there, but I never looked for the cards. And I kind of misplaced my sets over the years, you know, through lots of moves and whatever. And then I got to the point where like COVID happened, and I'm like, I got more time on my hand. I got some extra money. Let me pick some stuff up. And I went nostalgia route, and I was buying 1990s basketball boxes and opening those up. And then, oh man, it must have been year and a half, 2 years ago, I started thinking about, well, maybe I should get into some Marvel stuff because I'm not really enjoying the sports stuff anymore. I just wasn't enjoying. I enjoyed the cards, but I didn't enjoy where it was taking me with it because I was concerned too much with values of the cards when I was opening boxes. So I moved into Marvel after meeting Joshua Legg, Marvel Madness MCU, and Scandell, Cards and Comics, at one of the local card shows. Both those guys are like within an hour of me here in Utah.
Cool.
And I met with them, saw some of their cards. I was like, you guys got this pretty nice stuff. And they're like, yeah, Marvel's really fun. So I started getting back into Marvel, started opening up some stuff. And you had brought up sketch cards. And those that have watched the Roundtable have heard this story before. I opened a box of Marvel Annual, must have been a year and a half ago. I think it was a 2019 box still. Might have been a 2020 box. And I pulled one of the battle booklets.
Yeah. 1920
with the two
probably.
characters on it. Yeah. And I hit Odin versus Thanos. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I was like, I don't know who this artist is. So I ran it by those guys here in Utah, and they're like, yeah, you know, probably a couple $100 for that character, or for those characters for that artist. Because at that point in time, the artist hadn't had a big push, but it was Peach Momoko. And I dropped it on eBay for like $250, and it sold like that same day. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I probably just sold that for too little. Well, this past summer, it was in mid-June, I think. I was just happened to looking through eBay, looking up Peach Momoko stuff because I started to really like her artwork on the comic book covers. And I started to look up some of her sketch card stuff, and that card sold this past summer for $4,000.
Oh, you're kidding!
I got so sick. I got so sick to my stomach.
Wow!
I was like, ouch. But wow. I mean, when I had the card, it was way before she got that big push.
Yeah,
you know, for the anime set and everything else, and started doing all the book covers. And at the time, I was happy with the amount that I got for it because I paid for several boxes of cards, so I was okay with it. And somebody else got a great deal.
We've all got stories like that. We've all got stories like
that. Yeah. But yeah, they keep bringing that one up every time sketch cards come up on the Roundtable.
Oh, really?
I think they just like rubbing it into me.
Cheeky mofos. Outstanding behavior. Busting your balls about it.
Yeah.
So why True Blue Collectibles? Where did that handle come from?
So True Blue Collectibles. So I just had a channel on YouTube where I just posted random stuff. It wasn't anything specific, and it was just my name. It was just Nathan Brabon was my channel name at that point in time. And, you know, I posted like home repair and auto repair stuff. You know, I had some videos about how to tag fish on there. And those actually are still some of my better performing videos just because they speak to a larger group than just a card collecting hobby. But when I got back into cards, I wanted to share my openings, and I wanted to share my experiences with it and the different tips and tricks that I had been learning, like how to store stuff, how to unbrick cards. Like that's a big video for me. It's one of my bigger card videos. As far as views and stuff like that. And I started off and I was bouncing around some channel names when I started doing the card stuff. And I was like, well, I used to be in the military, and True Blue infantry. So you could earn what's called an expert infantry badge. You go through a whole bunch of different tests and physical activities that you have to complete within certain timeframes and mental capacities. And in order to earn True Blue, you went through every single one of those tests and you did not fail one single time. And you earned what was called True Blue. And I've always loved the infantry blue color of the military. And so True Blue has always stuck with me through a lot of my things. And originally it wasn't True Blue. It was just TBC breaks because I had started doing some box breaks and stuff like that. And I enjoy that, but that's not what my channel was about, right? It wasn't about just doing breaks. So I switched up. The TBC part became my channel, and that was True Blue Collectibles. And that's essentially where the True Blue came from.
Wow. Okay. I'm curious now. If you don't want to talk about this, then please say. So what did you? Because we've spoken to people who are veterans and who've served in various branches of the armed forces, and I've spoken to a couple of people that I know personally, but no one in the hobby, about their experiences and their time. And I'm always curious about people's backgrounds. So was that something that you wanted to do as a career, and did you actually go and serve overseas, or how did that?
Yeah, I did. So when I was 17 in high school is when I actually joined. So I joined as a junior in high school because they allowed you to join the National Guard early, which is like state operated, but is controlled by the federal government too.
Yeah.
But I originally, because at that point in time, Top Gun had come out in the 90s, so flying jets and all that was a big part of it. My mom's boyfriend growing up was in the Navy. So I initially wanted to go fly jets, but they had that color test, and I'm not good with the colors. It's like a whole bunch of little dots, and there's a number in there.
My brother did the same thing. My brother failed
I can't
that
see
test.
the numbers. Yeah, I can't see the numbers. I got like 1 out of 20 right. But when they go, okay, tell us these colors, and there's like the blocks of colors. I'm like, it's red, blue, green, yellow. Like you could tell that, like the basic colors, right? But I have issues with shade variation in my eyes. So my daughter and we call it color stupid. So anytime I'm not sure on like a blue or a purple, I just call it blurple, and she goes with it. She's like, "Yep,
I have the same." Apparently, a lot of men do actually.
Yeah,
my wife's like, I'll be choosing the carpet for in here. It's called rose quartz, and she consistently takes the piss out of me and says, "Go and enjoy your studio with your pink carpet." Like, it's not fucking pink, is it? And because I can't, anyway. But no, that's interesting. My brother was always growing up. He was very and still is into military things, model kits and things like that. He used to find, because in the UK, in lots of barns and things, you have old, literally dilapidated military vehicles, that are literally there from the war, like Jeeps and things like that. And he used to go and find those and restore those and things like that. But he actually, when he was 16, he went and did the same test. And he couldn't do what he wanted to do, so he then went to a factory that made components for airplane parts.
Okay, yeah. So I wasn't able to fly. I wasn't able to fly for the Navy, and I didn't want to like just be on a ship. If I wasn't going to be able to fly for the Navy, I wasn't going to the Navy. So I talked to a couple of the Army people, and they're like, "Well, you're probably not going to be able to fly helicopters either, but there's this other thing. So if you like excitement, do the infantry route." Well, anybody gets in the infantry, right? So it doesn't matter what your test scores are. Now, hindsight, if I could go back and somebody gave me some more information about it, I would have picked a career in the military like satellite technician or something like that, to where it could actually make money from the military afterwards. Because as an infantryman, you're a ground pounder. You're out there shooting guns at people, kicking in doors, stuff like that. And that doesn't have like a career transferring civilian job afterwards. So you find something else to do afterwards. So I joined in April of 97 as a junior in high school. Went to my basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, between my junior and senior year. So while everybody else was enjoying summer vacation, I was down in Georgia in the heat and the fire ants and all that, sweating my butt off and getting yelled at every day.
Wow.
Came back, did my senior year of high school. The day after I graduated high school, I had to go back and finish my training. So we went back down to Georgia. In 2000, we went to Germany for a few weeks, trained with the active duty Army soldiers over there. That was a blast. We got to go to Hohenfels and Rheinfels over there as like a little field trip thing a couple of days. That was fantastic to see the culture over there. In 2003, we went to Egypt, to the Sinai Peninsula, where we observed Israeli and Egyptian military movements to make sure they weren't breaking any of their rules in accordance with their peace treaties and stuff. I tore my knee out in 2004 while we were there, so I had some recovery time. So I missed our 2005 Iraq tour, where I then was preparing to go to that, and I tore my same knee out again during training. And then in 2008, we got to go to Iraq again, to the Ramadi province. So we were there doing security at the government center. That was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I enjoyed my time with the guys that were there. It was kind of like during the transition period where we're handing things back towards the Iraqi police and military. And then I got married in 2011, and they had told us that, hey, we're going to be probably preparing for an Afghanistan tour. And my contract was coming up anyway. So I had to make the decision of, do I stay in? Do I get out? So I'm 14 years in. For retirement, you got to get to 20 years. I'm like, do I really need this? Is it really worth another 6 years? Is it worth another tour? I just got married. I just added 5 children to my family. And I'm like, I think I'm done with this. I think I'm done with this part of my life, and I want to move on and just do me at that point in time. So that's the recap of the basics of my military service. But yeah, the infantry was really fun. I enjoyed it. I got to shoot a lot of different guns, ride around a lot of different takes, flying helicopters, Humvees, all that. It was a blast. I enjoyed it while I was in. It got a little less enjoyable as I went on, though, as the years went on. So
yeah, and those are some pretty hairy places, I imagine, in their own right, depending on whereabouts you were deployed. So, well, listen, I'm glad you got through it. Knees notwithstanding, how are your knees now? Are they are we good?
Yeah, they're shot. Some arthritis in there. We got back and hip issues and stuff, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, okay. Well, we'll work on that. Marvel chiropractic coming at you.
There we go.
So tell me about the round table. How did that come about? What is the round table, for those who don't know?
Yeah, so let's talk about how it started, and then we'll get into what the show's supposed to be. So it started basically. So the guys started the Marvel Unbound show every Monday, where they talk about the cards that got released that day, and I just got invited into that group. I think it was like the second or third week I got added to that group, and then we started popping on that show. So every Monday we talk about whatever the Unbound card is. Like today, here in about an hour and a half or so, actually 2.5. No, hour and a half. Two and a half hours.
2.5. Yeah.
2.5 hours. The next
you'll be
card
up by then. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no. And then yeah, gotta get on the servers. But one of the episodes, we just kind of, after we got done, we just kind of we started chatting. We're like, there's nothing in the middle of the week that we could find that was out there for Marvel content. And we're like, why don't we just start a show where we just hang out, talk about whatever, let the conversation go wherever it goes. If you got something to open, you open it. And also allow chat to come in if they want, because we see the streams, like Spidey Hits has got his stream, Marvel Madness and Sin City, they have their stream on Friday, and the chat is there and they're a part of the show, but they're not in the show. Right. So we're like, well, why don't we allow them the opportunity to come into the show and be a part of it that way, whether they have something to rip or not? Even if it's just, hey, I picked these cards up this weekend, so let me show you guys what I got. I'd love to share it with everybody.
Instead you just flash something at me. Yeah, I'm really excited, but we'll come back. We'll come back to that.
I'm loving these stuff here as well. I'm loving these. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
But yeah, so the roundtable just kind of came off of a riff session we had after an Unbound session. That was just us hanging out and talking about different things. And so the roundtable was just like, hey, let's put the show together on Wednesday nights, allow a place for the chat to come and hang out. And I think we did that pretty much up until this past week, where we got away from what we were doing. And the intent this past week wasn't to get away from what we were doing. It just came out of concerns from the MCCW members, about the guests that we had on. And it got us farther away from where we want to be. So we took a step back, and we're going to get back to what we usually do, which is just hanging out with the chat.
We'll come on to that. I don't want to dwell about it.
But yeah, so that's where the roundtable came about. And it's it's just supposed to be a fun hangout little space for everybody to enjoy and come on if they want to come on, and open stuff if they want to open, or share if they want to share.
Cool. So who are the core, because there's a core group of you, isn't it? And am I right?
Yeah, so there's a core group.
In that you do it on a different person's kind of channel each week. Is that the idea?
Every week the show gets streamed to everybody's channel. but we rotate who the primary chat is, because chat wants to be involved with chat too. So the links that we post each week. So last week was Marvel Madness MCU's channel for the primary chat, but all the other channels still had the video stream in case there's people that don't want to be in the primary chat. They just want to watch their favorite channel's video. They can still do that.
Gotcha.
And then this week will be Valor Comic Services channel for both the Unbound and for the Roundtable. Yep, Daniel will have the primary chat this week. So the link we share will be the video link for Daniel's channel. So that way, anybody in the Facebook groups or the Discord groups, if they want to go to the primary chat, they just click on that link and they can be in the primary chat then. Because when you're in the other chat, if you're in another stream's video, then your chat shows up to us on the StreamYard side, but it doesn't show up to the other members that are in the chat in somebody else's channel.
Yeah,
they don't have a way to kind of like transfer it all over. So, yeah, so that's kind of how the primary chat works. But yeah, the core group, we have Alonzo Collectibles is on most of the time. Derper Doo's on there. That's Matthew Austin. You guys know him.
It's just the name.
I love his channel name. It's fantastic. Yeah.
He was going to be on here today, but unfortunately he's a bit unwell. And I was really much as I love the story about your channel name, his channel name, I really want to hear.
I know.
Yeah.
And then we have Valor Comic Services, Daniel Dunn. You guys know him. Marvel Madness MCU, Josh, and then myself. Are the 5 primary, but that's not all of it either. Those are the ones that have the video streams going out. But Jen Collectibles, he is on there too. Jen from Lootbox TV of Jen and Juice.
I don't know him, but I've loved him on the
fantastic
on the few that I've watched. Because of course I'm a completely different time zone, so I can never be with you live. I mean, I could be with you live, but I'd never get up for work the following day, and nor would my wife thank me for it. So I always watch it back, and usually I think it's available to watch back. If you go to the channel that had the primary chat, you can usually see the chat.
Yeah, so the way the primary chat works on the replay, so if you're watching the replay, the person whose YouTube channel that is at has to go in and actually edit it to allow the live chat replay. StreamYard doesn't give us that functionality on our side of things.
Okay.
So like on my channel, I would have to go in and click to select the live chat replay to be able to play. But yeah, Jen doesn't, he has a channel, but most of his stuff is like super old, like concert stuff, because they have their primary Lootbox TV channel and they don't want to have the Roundtable going out to that because that's not the focus of their channel.
Right, I get it.
Which is completely understandable. So, but we can't forget about him. And then we have Soul Collectibles. He's there when he can be there. Wednesday nights are tough for him because he has other commitments, but Soul pops on usually on the Monday night Unbound sessions as well. And they call him Mini Josh. So
really,
I guess, yeah, he looks a little bit like Marvel Madness. So they razz him a little bit. And then a couple weeks ago, we had Josh's nephew on, Kellen, some younger kids, and they were opening boxes of Fleer Ultra Avengers.
Oh, that's cool.
And everybody was calling Kellen Soul Collectibles. Who let Soul into the show? And it was just a fun time. So they razzed Soul a little bit. But.
Cool. So how long have you been going now?
This will be week 12 for us. We got 11 episodes in so far.
Okay, so it's kind of a really new thing because all of a sudden it was there and I was seeing it, and that explains now why I was suddenly seeing it everywhere. It was being suggested to me on YouTube. Not that I don't have time to consume a lot of content because I'm either making it with this or young family and job. Did I hear you mention you've got 5 kids, by the way?
We have 6 total, actually.
Oh my good God. So I don't know how you do that.
When we got married, we only have 2 left in the house, but my wife had 5 before we got married, and then I had 1. All the kids are grown except for the last 2 that are at the house. They're 17-year-old boy and girl twins. They'll be, technically 16. We're recording today. Tomorrow is on the 10th. Tomorrow is their birthday on the 11th, so they'll be 17 tomorrow. So yep, they're super excited about that. My daughter said she wants a tattoo. Yeah. My daughter said she wants a tattoo for her birthday. So I'm like, okay.
How's Daddy feeling about that?
I'm fine with it. I don't.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's her. Yeah, we've had the conversations about it's your body. Do what you want. Just make sure you're happy with it. And she drew her own thing that she wants to do with some butterflies and whatever for her and her mom. And so I think that's fantastic that she wants to do something like that. That's memorable to her, not just some random thing. So
yeah. No, that is cool. That is cool. If you must have being this is probably a massive stereotype now, but being a former military person, do you have tattoos?
Right, I do. I have 5. So my first one was in 1998. I have a scorpion on my left shoulder, and that is for no other reason other than I liked Sting as a wrestler when he was in WCW.
Oh yeah, for a minute I got excited because I thought you meant the musician.
Oh no, not the musician. Oh my goodness. And then I have in Chinese characters, I have my biological son's name, or at least the meaning of his name, on the back of my right arm. I have a gecko on my my right calf, like on the side of my leg on my right calf, which is from my wife's trip and I when we went to Hawaii in 2009. She got a belly button piercing and I got a tattoo. And then early 2000s, I have a tribal style dragon that goes across pretty much my entire upper back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I have on my right wrist, I have a key, and my wife has a heart locket. My wife has a heart locket.
I saw that poking out. No, I was curious. Part of the reason I asked that is because we've had people on before, and they've gone, yeah, I've got them roll up their sleeves, and they've got, I've got Wolverine down this side, and on this side, I've got like Cyclops, and on my back, I've got like Omega. There is someone actually, Brandon Bennett. He's an Iceman collector, and he's in the groups. He's not terribly active on the groups these days, but he's still around. He's got, I can't remember what it is now, but he's got almost a full back tattoo.
Oh, okay.
Marvel. Anyway, that's by the by. So my brain's gone now. We were talking about tattoos because I can't remember what we're talking about. This is what always happens. We go off on side quests. There's always a side quest conversation. Yeah,
that's what happens on the roundtable too.
Yeah,
they had been on 1 week. He had a box of PMGs that come in that got caught up in a belt, all tore up and everything. But they were talking about they got on a tangent. They brought up wrestling, and wrestling took them like an hour long sidetrack of wrestling.
Yeah,
and that's what the roundtable was supposed to be. It was like whatever comes up, it goes wherever it goes. As far as the conversation,
just have a conversation. I mean, that's the whole idea of it. For me, that's always the best type of content. I mean, it's especially. I mean, it sounds like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like your kind of thing is just like community, the hobby community, just talking about the hobby, and then whatever things you've got coming up. It's which is kind of exactly what I've always tried to do on here, but it's very interesting when you do that. But you've got like creators on, someone like just trying to think, like Greg Hildebrand, and when you go off on side tangents and conversations with those guys, the stories that come out are just like phenomenal. Are you kind of? You might just be kind of not giving it this kind of level of thought. It might just be that let's just do this and it's fun and just. But have you got kind of designs to evolve it or change it or interview people like that or have guests, or how are you?
So the show wasn't ever intended to be an interview style show. It was intended to be, if you have something you want to rip or you just want to talk about the hobby and you want to come in as a guest, let us know. We'll get you on as a guest. And whether that's 1, 2, 3 guests a night, if we can fit it in, we'll fit it in. We're trying to keep it to 2 hours or less. I know some weeks it gets a little bit longer than that.
I mean, it was about 3 the other week.
There was one that was about 3. Yeah. So you got to bump that play speed up a little bit to get it done.
I know. I always forget you can do that. So I'm sitting there thinking, I really need to go to the toilet, but I'm really into this conversation. It's like,
well, I do that if I miss like part of like Justin's stream or Joshua's stream. If I'm behind in the live stream, I just bump the play speed up so I can catch back up to the live. So, but then you're still not missing any of the content really. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't intended to be like an interview style thing. But as we were having guests on, we'd still want to ask them questions, but not so much like an actual like, why this, why that, what do you do here, sort of interview style, and dig deep into that. And that's not the intent of the show. But after this past week, it kind of turned into that just because of the feedback, like bringing that guest on collectively as a group. It wasn't intended to be an interview. It was, hey, one of our hosts felt like, hey, let's bring this person on. They want to open some cards and just talk about the hobby. Cool. We'll bring them on. And then when we posted the link, that's when it kind of like we felt we had to turn it into more of an interview style thing, or at least try to. But anytime you do live and you have elements of chat with different feelings about a guest, specifically a specifically great curator, there's a lot of varying opinions about a guest like that.
Yeah, of course.
And it makes it a little difficult. And there's things we would change if we could go back in time and do that. But hindsight is always 2020, and there's always things you would change if you could go back and do it, right? So
it was interesting. We'll talk about it quickly, but I asked you to come on anyway because I've been wanting to talk to you because I've caught about 4 or 5 of the roundtables so far, and I was like, these guys are really interesting, and I thought I'm probably never going to be awake to go on to theirs, but I thought let's invite any of the guys on who want to come on. And it was supposed to be yourself and Matthew Derper. What's that?
Derper, yep.
Derper. I'm sorry, Matthew. I'm not laughing at you, but I am slightly laughing at you because that is a really funny username. But I kind of thought, you know what? Let's just ask him on. I didn't want to spend the whole episode talking about it at all because I think there's a lot being said about it, and I'm sure, as you said, you've probably kind of learnt from it. Probably be the best way. You've got takeaways is probably the best way to phrase it. So I have an opinion, as many people do, about the guest that you had on. And I think when I saw the link, I'm never someone who will. I'm usually quite reserved. It takes a lot for me to comment on something, even if I have strong feelings about it. And part of that's because I'm British, and part because it's just I like to be a little bit respectful to people. And I kind of figured, that's what you want to do. That's absolutely fine. I did respond to someone in the comments, and kind of intimated that I was unhappy. And then I went away, and then I came back to it the following morning, and it had gone fucking nuts. You pardon my French.
That's probably the politest way to put it, though.
Yeah. So when you kind of read that, how did it make you? I mean, we're only 5 days away from it, but you're probably enough away from it now to have a bit of perspective. How did you feel when you were kind of reading all that? Were you like, oh fucking shit, what have we done? Or were you like, let's bring it?
When we put the links up, usually nobody comments on the links at all. They just, they click the emojis that they want to click, and then they show up for the chat if they want to show up for the chat.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is our viewership for that episode, for the live, wasn't any lower or higher than what it normally is. It was pretty much about the norm for that episode. So people were still tuning in to watch, and they were in the chat too. But as I'm reading the comments, I'm like, why is there so much hate about the guest? I already knew from the sports side of things and people's opinions of them and the comments I was reading, I already knew why people had animosity towards the guest, because of perceived hyping or pumping or whatever that is, or deceitfulness within content, stuff like that. Now, I watch great curator stuff, and I've always just watched it as entertainment. I've never, and I do the same thing with Jeff Wilson and the sports card investor stuff. All their stuff is just entertainment content for me. It's not informational content, but that's me personally. And there's people out there that take that same perception. Like these people, they're creating content for views and the clickbait style stuff. And one of the biggest things out of the conversations was the deceitfulness and lying about stuff from his content. And I can't speak to any of that because there's content that I just don't watch. Like if I see the video and the title doesn't strike me as something I want to watch, then I'm just not going to watch it. So like with the Dallas card show thing, I didn't know anything about that other than it happened. I didn't know who actually made the video, and he had explained that, hey, it wasn't.
Now that's a very recent thing, isn't it? That whole thing.
That's a very recent thing. So I think that's the thing that sticks mostly in people's minds is that. But I was on Retroverse's episode, and we just recorded one, so I'm not going to speak too much about what it's about. But he had talked about like the PMG Christmas tree. During Christmas, people don't necessarily have money to buy gifts all the time, and how somebody's doing something with the PMG Christmas tree. So it's like that's what turned him off to the guest. Was back when that happened. That was not this past Christmas, but I think the last one.
I don't think I'm familiar with that, but there are a lot of stories and incidents out there. I think everyone's got their own story about the guy.
But I think a lot of and this is my own personal opinion, and I have like I've said it in the posts and stuff like that. I
Mm.
don't have animosity to anybody that shared their opinions. Like that's the most interaction we've ever had on a post, but we don't make the post to have interaction. We make the post to go, here's the link. Do you want to watch the video? Watch the video.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for us to like have this long drawn out conversation about it there. But when those comments started coming through, we went back to the Instagram group and we're like, okay, guys, we're going to have to bring this up at some point, right? Otherwise, it's just going to get completely out of control. And like I said, there's things we learned from that episode and those guests and that specific guests in general, that if we could go back to the live stream and change how we reacted with chat, like right off the bat, we're like, this is going to be controversial. Please just try to keep it clean and respectful. If you have a question to ask, just ask your question. So timeouts got handed out, and I could see why people got upset because they felt like they were being ignored with that. But some of it too was you're asking a question in a derogatory manner or just bashing somebody when you could just ask the question, like, and have an actual adult conversation. And not be the teenagers in high school. And that's not to call anybody that, because everybody's entitled to their opinions, but there are ways to go about handling a guest like that too. But I could also see the side where, you know, maybe the chat felt like some of the hosts were just too protective of the guest as well. I think it was either you or Matt Fuller that had mentioned something about me being pretty measured.
Matt
in the comments. Yeah, Matt.
Matt,
I think it was.
and I think I followed up on it. Yeah, but
yeah, pretty measured in that. And I learned a lot of that from my own experiences. And I talked about it with Retro on his podcast too. Like I used to fly off the handle like very easily at stuff. So through some of my mental health therapy is taking the step back, assessing what's going on, and then kind of trying to address it. But yeah, I mean, with this guest, it was a very different style of show that just it felt so uncomfortable through most of the show, you know, both with the guest and with chat.
The interesting thing, because I couldn't watch it live, and I haven't finished watching the episode. I think I'm just over halfway through it. So you've passed the first half an hour, kind of really is all about controversial issues, and then you move on to talk about more fun stuff, and it's very interesting. One of the things I noticed about it is that on the replay, and I was watching it on I think it was Josh's channel is the main one, the chat's not there, so as rewatching it from afterwards, I can't see that side of it. So you know, so that element, and maybe that's deliberate, but you can see, and this is the thing that I found interesting, you can see people reading it, and you can see, uneasy is the wrong word. Maybe it's the right word, but you didn't.
No, I think uneasy is the right word.
Yeah, you didn't look as chilled and relaxed as the round table normally is. So it kind of almost pulled it out of that kind of vibe that you're going for. Is my take anyway. Like I said, I haven't finished watching,
and I think that's spot on. I think that's spot on. Yeah, it was uncomfortable trying to host a show collectively and trying to manage, you know, keeping chat
firefighting as well, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So because they want you to bring up specific things, and it's like, okay, which of these things do we bring up when we bring them up? And then how do we have to then go back and try to rephrase what somebody's saying because of all the negativity built into it as well? To have it be a somewhat civil conversation.
And you got to be mindful to your guest as well in that perspective, because you don't really want to be. I mean, listen, he's a big boy. I know he can probably look out for himself. But, and at this point, I have to mentally stop myself from saying something slightly snarky as well, because it's just, I don't know what it is about this particular person that you had on, but he does elicit that response from people. You know, I had to stop myself there from saying something. But what I was going to say was, you know, I'm sure he's a big boy. He can look after himself. You don't really, whoever the guest is, want to be sandbagging someone with something like that. You know, it's just
right. Yeah. You know, I mean, we're not MSNBC. We're not MSNBC, Fox News, BBC. That's not who we are. So I don't feel within the hobby, and we've said this before in the roundtable, we've said it in the group, we are not gatekeepers. I don't personally feel the hobby needs gatekeepers. I feel the hobby needs educators to help brand new people coming in to teach them enough to take stuff at face value and with a grain of salt. And that's why we don't usually talk too much about values on the roundtable either. Like we might say, hey, we paid this much for the card, or hey, the autos are selling for this much. But we're not going out there trying to find comps for stuff. It's like, hey guys, you need to look for yourself. And that's the comps can be a whole nother episode on your podcast just all by itself. I mean, that's a big rabbit.
Yeah. Right? I mean, I've not gone near it, and I've deliberately not gone near it because listen, I mean, everyone has a different kind of iron in the fire when it comes to the hobby, and some people are in it for buying and selling and the investing side of things, and that's not my interest at all. So I don't kind of talk about it because it's not really my thing, unless of course there's a massive surge cross market thing that was happening last year and certainly the year before with all the pump and dump craziness that went on, which there's loads of content about that, so I'm not going to repeat it here, and we've talked about it before on this one. But the way I always approach comps comes from, so before I set up the group MCCW, which was 5 years ago next week, or this week as people listen to it, I was really into, as you can probably see here, retro video games, and that's a small that's all I've got left. What I had 5 years ago would have filled all four walls of here, and I had to massively trim down. And I sold a lot of them during COVID because I'd overspent basically, and I was in debt from various things. So I sold a lot of them off and cleared my debt. But I come from I modeled a lot of the group stuff on video game retro gaming groups, and they have very, very fixed ways of doing things to make it fair to people. So a lot of the stuff you see in MCCW, so you can't be PMing on sales posts, negotiate on the comments, and payment methods and things like that are modeled from that scene because I've seen it working really effectively to keep people safe. But one of the other things was when they price stuff up, they're almost religious about it in terms of the way they do it. So I was always taught from that scene, which I've kind of is what I try and do myself, is look at eBay sold values. And obviously this was before the days when people were kind of shilling and doing all that sort of stuff, and before TerraPeak, I'm going back a few years now. But what you do is you go to eBay sold values and you'd find anywhere from 3 to 5 items or similar items, because if it's a Battle Spectra gem or something like that, you might not find the exact one. But, something similar character thing. Get 3 or 5 sales, average amount, and lop off 15%. That's always been my approach to it.
If you're not doing it on eBay, I think that's a great way to do it. But also looking at, depending on the rarity, scarcity of the card, what's currently for sale as well.
Yes.
Like your last recent solds might have been 6 months ago for a specific character or style of card. And if there's nothing currently on the market, where has the market gone? That goes back to, like you said, the similar character stuff. Has there been similar characters or equal tier characters sell in that same style of card, same grade, whatever it might be? But the point on how, like you said, you don't do like the investing side of things. You collect Black Cat. That's your character. That's what you go after. You might do set building or whatever. But I think whether you want to call it investing or just how much money is actually relevant into the hobby, it is. I mean, buying into a card is investing into a card, whether you're concerned about where the values of that card go or not. It's still investing into that card. You're spending money on it. You're investing into it.
Into your collection.
If you buy food, if you're buying food, you're investing into your desire to not have hunger, right?
And
so money does matter. Yeah, money does matter.
Yeah.
So how much you spend on a card is relevant. So comps are relevant. And anytime you sell off eBay, you should, in theory, not get. You shouldn't expect to get eBay prices when you're selling something not on eBay. There should be some sort of reduction because of the fees. People are paying fees and shipping, and I think sometimes there's members or collectors that are out there, or investors, whatever you want to call them, that don't understand that. I think there was an issue, not necessarily, I don't want to call it an issue because that's not the case, somebody had picked up one of the new Fleer Ultra Avengers, the Wolverine autograph, for like $75. Well, clearly that card is worth more than $75 if you're basing it on all the other current sales from that same set and the characters, right? Now, whether or not the card's worth whatever somebody's asking for it nowadays, that's a different story. That's the whole debate portion of it. But if I can pick up a card at a really good deal, whether that's eBay or at a card show, it doesn't matter. The only difference between eBay and a card show is on eBay, you know how much I paid for the card, right, Ian? Versus the card show, if I don't tell you, you don't know how much I paid for the card.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I've got a Tom Brady. So I'll use a sports card thing. I've got a Tom Brady Chrome rookie BGS 9.
Nice.
That's worth anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000 right now. I'm not into that card for anything. I'm actually positive on that card by like $400 based on other stuff I did to be able to get that card.
Wow. Okay.
So if I put that out there, am I flipping that card because I traded something that I got out of a break that I only paid $200 for? Right. It's a semantics debate there.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's the same thing. Ultimately, to me, I don't care what somebody paid for a card. Their amount into it's irrelevant. Where's the value of that card currently at? And that's how I look at it. And if I want the card, I'm going to pay for the card.
Yeah.
And that's simple.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I try to take the simple approach to it.
It is. Yeah. And it's difficult. It's not always easy. I think there's a the interesting thing with flipping. For me, flipping is buying something specifically to then turn around and sell it to make more money because you see it at a cheap price. So now, whatever the reason someone sold it for that price, if it's worth more, maybe they didn't know what it was and they listed it, which I think is probably the case with that particular card you just mentioned, or whether it was just an auction that just didn't go as high as it should have done. If you see that and you think, oh, I can make some money there, I'm going to buy that and then I can sell it for X times X, that's kind of flipping. But I think if you've got something that's been in your collection for a while, you're kind of just, the way I think about it is that's money in your system. So, you've got a whole load of collectibles behind you and, each one of those might have a dollar amount on it if you were to sell it. It's exactly the same here. So I kind of look at this is that this is kind of credit in my ecosystem, in my collection ecosystem, if you like. So if I pull something out that I bought 10 years ago and then I decide to sell it because the market's changed, now that to me isn't a flip because I didn't buy it specifically. I bought it. I've had it for 10 years. I've enjoyed it as part of my collection. But you know what it's like. Your collection changes. It evolves. What you look at one day and you think, oh, yeah, I was really into those cards 5 years ago. But now I'm like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. So stock comparison would be like flipping equals day trader. Grading and selling equals short-term trader. And then
this is
just holding in your hobby till whenever is just long-term investment.
Yeah. Okay. I love that.
If you compare it to like a stock analogy.
Good. I know terrifyingly little about the stock market, so I'm just going to nod and agree with you at this point. It all sounds really good. Even though I've seen Wall Street, I don't think that makes me an expert in any way, shape, size, or form. So what you showed me a flash of something. So let's talk about something.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of want to know what's kind of wagging your tail at the moment in terms of product that's coming out, new stuff.
So I bought, what have I bought so far? I think 10 boxes of Fleer Ultra Avengers. I've done reasonably well. I'm not up on that product by any stretch of the imagination, but I've enjoyed that product.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people's pushback on that product is there's not a lot of the big characters in there. And I've always said it doesn't need to have that. We've had too many sets recently with too many of the big characters. We need
a Fleer Ultra set is never going to be that. Is never going to be that.
No. And I've enjoyed the Fleer Ultra. I wasn't around for X-Men and Spider-Man and Fleer Ultra, so to have this set, the thicker cards, I don't like all the silver lines on them, but I think there's some great artwork in there. I think my favorite card from the set, my personal favorite card, is the Black Bolt by Kai Kakao. I love that card. I think the way he did his artwork, because he did the Black Widow as well, and his artwork is kind of tilted, and it works fantastic with the lines on the card. Almost like he had a heads up.
His Ant-Man is just mind blowing.
Yeah,
I
like
love that.
his artwork is kind of tilted, where some of the other artwork is just more straight up and down.
Yeah,
and I think it looks fantastic. Yeah,
no, it's
this is
beautiful
debate:
stuff.
is he shrinking or is he growing? And I think he's shrinking. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's either cold out or he's excited. One of the two.
Yeah.
I've only opened the one box so far. I've got 3 blasters on the way.
So I've done 10 boxes. I pulled the blue Venom out of 360.
Oh, nice.
I pulled the blue Venom. And
Very
then
nice.
I pulled, which Simone Bianchi, he said he's not happy with the artwork because they kind of cropped it in and got rid of kind of hid the egg on it. I pulled the artist autograph Cacao Winter Soldier out of 63.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
The signatures are not easy to see. They are very tough to see. And if anybody, just so anybody listening out there, this is a shameless little try to get the card I want. If anybody has the Black Bolt autograph and would rather have the Winter Soldier autograph, let me know. I will happily trade you.
You go for it. You go for it. I'm doing that almost every week. Oh yeah, I've just found the Black Bolt one actually. I forgot I had the base of that.
Yep. Yeah, it's to me, it's just a really great card. Like I don't care about the character, but I think it just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But one that I know there's people that collect this character. I pulled my first autograph pull was the She-Hulk.
That's a beautiful card. That's a beautiful
card. I think that's fantastic.
Mm.
I pulled that one. That one was a Tom Fleming autograph. So those are some of my bigger ones I pulled. And of course, I pulled a couple gold medallions, but not big characters. But what's got me excited right now is how good Annual is.
I'm hearing
this. This is not pumping.
No.
Financial advice. This is my enjoyment of this set, and I am loving it. For $85, if you can find it for $85, I know a lot of shops have it for like 90. If you can find it for $85, they did a very good job this year. I think they did a good job getting rid of the tiers, adding the canvas parallels. I think they look great. They added the backscatter stickers, and that's what I was flashing to you.
Now they're like the vending machine stickers, aren't they?
They're like the vending machine stickers. Yeah, they brought some retro stuff back. Of course, they still have the Creator Corner autographs, and I pulled a Peter David autograph. So that was really cool.
That's beautiful.
And so last year I pulled a couple Benjamin Percy ones and a Steve McNiven autograph. So I got some books I'm going to get graded along with those cards to have them side by side with CGC doing Marvel now. It's fantastic. And of course, their holograms this year, they only have the one hologram versus the previous years they had two. So those are numbered to 22. I haven't hit that yet, but they have the gold parallels, and those are numbered out of 88. And I think those look fantastic. The foiling goes all the way through the edges. It's very light. In the right light, you can see the foiling go through the character too, but it's not obtrusive to the artwork, which I think is great. They brought back the suspended animations, and I hit the Black Widow out of 199.
Izzy will be after you for that.
And there's 50 of those. So there is some misinformation, and I don't want to say misinformation, just not people saying it didn't know. There's not like some of the first 20 are to $6.99, the next 15 are to $3.99, the next 10 are to $1.99, and then the last 5 are to $99. So there's not
suspended animation.
Yeah. So like a Wolverine character goes only to $99. There's no $6.99 version of that.
Wow.
There's no $3.99 version of that. There's only 99 suspended animations of the Wolverine. And then of course the backscatter stickers, which are actual stickers, and I think they're going to be tough grades just like they were in the 90s or the vending machines. But my first box, I pulled Magneto.
Nice.
And then I proceeded to pull Hulk. And my favorite one, because he's back in the sets, Silver Surfer. And I think that one looks amazing. And that one's, of the 3 that I've pulled, that one's probably the one that has the best shot at getting a 9.5 or a pristine 10 at like a CGC.
Cool. Okay.
So I think those are going to be tough grades for people trying to grade those just because of centering. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Annual. But of course, I set collect too. So like all these binders down here behind me are all full.
I hadn't seen the binders because I was just seeing.
Because they're kind of covered. They're all kind of full of different sets. You know, I've got the 1990 through like 95 stuff, and then it hops to like 2018. Nice. And then of course I've got some. I've seen this on the Roundtable. This is my Clear Ultra Avengers Master set that I'm working on.
Oh my goodness! Are you storing that? Are you storing that flat?
The binder. Yep, binder. Stand it up like that.
So you're standing up
on each other.
Just take it easy on the storing it standing up, because over time.
Yeah, I've got to get a box. I've got to get a box that the binder actually fits in that I can slide it into.
Well, there's that as well, but there's also just the sag. What I do,
Oh yeah, the sag from the pages.
Yeah. What I do with these, hang on a sec. Oh. I'm going to grab this one simply because it's gorgeous. So I've started getting these, which are actually for coins.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So they're
So I
not
wanted
too
to make a
wide.
box for that. I want to make a box for that one because then it's similar to that.
Yeah. So they're not too wide. This one just about holds. That's Masterpieces 2018.
Okay. Just the base set?
That's the base. Hang on a sec. I don't want to drop it.
Those of you that are listening on the podcast, you can't see it, but he's flipping through his
I am.
binder.
Those of you who are listening at the podcast, I always say I'm giving myself an easy life and not doing the tasting notes as much anymore. So go and watch YouTube. So yeah, this is the base 1 to 81, and then purple tier 4, EPAC achievements, battle spectra, canvas, and holofoil. And at the front here,
because nowadays you can't really master set, so you have to pick and choose what your master set is.
Exactly, yeah. Choose your own adventure, I always call it, and it fits just about nicely. Ultra Pro sleeves, and it's it's perfect. You know, it's not. I'm not forcing it to sit. It's sitting at its maximum kind of thing. So that's what it just about fits perfectly for 2016, 2018, and 2020, which I still haven't finished. But
you're missing on the bottom there. There you go.
Yeah, no, it's just because I'm trying to talk and do it at the same time.
But yeah, so like for my Fleer Ultra set, for me, my master set is basically all the base cards, the green versions of the cards, whether they're inserts or base. So like the normal parallel that you can get, and then the base of all the inserts.
Okay, yeah.
That's going to be Ultra Stars, Ultra Powers, Universe Supremes, all those. Just the base of those, not like any of the serial numbered versions or anything like that.
I've not managed
I'm not
to
any of that.
I've not managed to see. I didn't pull any Ultra Stars. One of those is Blaster only, isn't it? Which one's Blaster only?
So the Ultra Stars are the Ultra Stars aren't Blaster only, but the version that's in the Blasters is Blaster only, and then there's a gold version that's in Hobby.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you.
And I don't like the gold versions at all. I think they're too flat. There's no shimmy shine to them. The only thing that shines on that is the name. Whereas with the Blasters, the entire background is kind of like a rainbow foil.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going for the medallions, base medallions. I'm not going for a base set. I can't be, the green just doesn't work for me, so I'm not doing that. But I'm doing the artist spotlight. I'm doing the Silver Age because the artwork is just stunning. Tom Morgan.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
And I'm also going to do the first appearance and one other artist spotlight, first appearance, Silver Age. You know what? I think that's it. But I haven't seen the Ultra Stars or Ultra Power in hand yet, so I don't know if I'm going to.
The Ultra Powers are a really nice insert. I really like the way they look. They have a great foiling in the background, and those do have. There's some variants that are numbered to 50 as well that have like some retro style artwork and
interesting
to them.
But I'm rainbowing 2. I'm rainbowing Jessica Jones and Agent 13. So those are the 2 I'm going for.
Cool. Now, why those 2?
They just kind of sing to me, and I like the lady characters. And there's no Black Cat. Now, I thought I'd dodged a bullet with Annual this year and Black Cat because she's not in it. Oh, and that's the other one I'm doing. I'm doing the 3x3.
Oh, the 3x3, yeah.
Because the rainbow foil is just chef's kisses. I thought I dodged a bullet with Black Cat, but it turns out that she is in the background of the Venom card because she's on the cover, even though that's not Venom on that cover. She's also on the back of that, and she's on the back of someone just sent it to me. That same cover is on the back of card. Bear with. 87 Athena. So that same cover is on the back of card 87. Now, the good thing about the backs of cards is that the printing plates don't apply. Although
so you don't have to chase those. You don't have to chase those down.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that it's Venom, the card that she's on is Venom, means that I'm not going to go hard because there's no way. So much as I like to have every visual appearance that she has on a card, It's just not practical to do. I did get one of the see-through cards as well, but I can't find it for love nor money. From
all the suspended animations.
No, they're not called
Oh,
that.
the Universe Power Supremes.
Yeah, I did get one of them,
Yeah.
and I can't find it. Are you collecting those?
I do. Well, I'm gonna collect the base
Here it
ones.
is.
I'm not gonna collect the black ones.
Yellow Jacket.
Yeah. Yeah, those look really nice. I enjoy those. And then the black ones, which is the parallel of that, are a die cut.
Yeah, the black. I've seen people getting very waggy tail about the black. I like them. I mean, I might get them at some point. I mean, the good thing about those, they won't take much binder thickness. But yeah, no, I'm just having fun, just choosing elements, I guess, to pick up rather than needing to go for the whole thing. I'm just kind of, picking up bits here and there. So what's your so obviously you mentioned the characters that you're going for. How deep down the rabbit hole are you going in terms of PCing stuff? Are you going full character collector crazy, like with a massive spreadsheet of every single appearance they've ever had and collecting them whether they appear on the front or the back of a card, like I do?
For me, it's more or less, if I pull them, sweet. If I don't, then I don't worry too much about it. Or if I can find a decent price at a show and I really like the card. Like for Unbound, Rogue came out, and I bought a lot of the Rogues and I traded for some more of them just to send some home. Like I think I sent home like 5 rainbows of the Rogue, and only one of them was even gradable because the others had all a print line that ran down the side.
Okay. All right.
But when you're talking EPAC and you don't have a serial number card, you can't really see the condition. It's just a stock photo, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going out of my way. So I have a CPC 9.8 of the Return of Wolverine, the number 1, and he is the low series in he's a low series card in the X-Men.
You're trying to find it.
I have it. He's the X-Men card in the metal. Yeah, the low series
in Spidey metal.
No, in X-Men metal.
In
the
X-Men
low
metal.
series in X-Men metal. Yeah.
Oh, so that's the Return of Wolverine issue 1 cover, you mean?
Yep, the number 1, Return of Wolverine. So the very first box I opened of X-Men metal, because I got into it late. The very first box I opened of X-Men metal I did with Marvel Madness MCU on a live stream, and I pulled the pink Wolverine.
Nice. Okay.
From that. Now, I would not have gone out and bought this card because that's, again, I'm not going out of my way to find those cards to buy them, but I will absolutely pull it and then keep it forever if I have to. But 2 of the other cards that are in my collection that I thoroughly enjoy is the Marvel Annual 2020, the hologram of Domino, number to 21.
That's brilliant.
I picked that. Yep, I picked that one up. So that is one that I bought. Just because I really like that card. And then I traded my way into, I opened a box of Spider-Man metal. I pulled the red Superior Spider-Man PMG, and it was all tore up, which a lot of us have those stories of the cards being all messed up. But it was all flaky. I sent that in, and I got a 2013 retro Hobgoblin red as my replacement card. And I was like, well, that's an upgrade to me. I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in the MCCW group. Somebody had commented because we were all sharing at that point in time, like the cards that we had pulled or got for replacements. And he's like, "Hey, I'm a Hobgoblin collector. I just got my replacement in. You said you're a Domino collector, and my replacement was the 2013 retro Domino. We just traded.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So I love it when that happens.
Done.
Yeah.
So I was excited about that. So those are the 3. I consider them top cards. Now I have a Green Vision PMG from Spider-Man metal. That's a PSA 8, but that's not a card I'm going to keep. So if anybody's interested in that card, just let me know. We can
okay, you heard it here first, folks. So do you you've mentioned it a couple of times. So I personally, I don't send stuff into grade, partly because I'm in the UK and it's actually a real pain in the ass to do so. It's not as easy because it's very much built for the American Canadian market, that the way they work. But you clearly do choose to send a lot of stuff in. So do you do that just because you like the displayability of them, or do you do it to
a couple different reasons? So I don't have a specific company that I use. PSA, I sent my PMG there because the intent with that one after I pulled it is grade it and then sell it, right? And current market conditions dictate that PSA has the highest resale value.
Yeah.
Now, for personal collection stuff, displayability, CGC I think has some of the best slabs out there. They're clean, they're solid.
They're very clear, aren't they?
They're very, very clear. I think they look great with pretty much any card in them. And of course, CSG is the sports side of that. So any personal collection stuff, whether it's sports or Marvel, will be going to CSG/CGC for grading for me.
Right. CSG.
But if the intent
CSG. Yeah. You mean SGC?
No, CSG is the CSG. Sports side.
It's
the sports side of CGC. Yeah, so it's essentially the same thing. The label's slightly different color-wise. Right. It's not the blue that we see with the Marvel stuff. It's more of like a greenish gold.
Right.
But that's their sports division over there.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, SGC has a fantastic vintage style look to it. I think they'd have more of a following if they change the way their slab looks. I think just having the black, it doesn't look good with darker cards. Like the card doesn't stand out then. But if it's like a 1990 MU or a vintage style card, like baseball or whatever, because of the white borders, it makes it pop a lot. So like an annual card would look okay in there, but I mean, you're really not going to grade a base annual card anyway. So,
well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the thing is for me, I'm PSA, and the reason I'm PSA is because I actually just really like the way they looked, and also I'm going to blame Amanda, graded gamer, for this, because she's you slice her open and she's PSA graded. Not that I'm going to slice anyone open. That sounded really bad. I might edit that out anyway. Sorry, Amanda. But Amanda, on something like The Wire, when someone starts you off, just a taste, and they hook you. Amanda gifted me this about 2 years back. And it's a graded 10 PSA.
Very nice.
Masterpieces 95 Black Cat by Nelson. And it is one of my favorite Black Cats base cards ever. It's stunning. So she kind of started me off, unfortunately, and since then I've just been. So I will buy stuff that's already graded, but I'll only buy stuff. And I'm pretty much grade agnostic as well. For me, it's just about having a copy of it, within this format for display, because I'm eventually going to have like rotating like displays up there once I finally sort it all out. So I've got stuff in here. I've got a few 10s. I've got some 8s, got some 9s. I'm very happy with that. I've got 7 on the exquisite. There, which was actually a gift from Shane, Marvel Card Investor. So thank you for that, Shane.
Nice.
But the reason I got this out while we were talking was to say that the only exception to that is I snapped up a couple of my first CGC for this one because it will match the cover of that issue.
Yeah, the gold and the base.
Spider-Man 194. And and those will be. I know it sounds weird. I've also picked up a couple of other ones from this set, but in PSA because they'll match that. Whereas these will be displayed with a comic. It's crazy, I know. Only multiples in different slabs for different reasons. But the other reason I got that out is because this morning a card popped up on eBay, and I was like, I need to go out there and check whether I actually own that in PSA. Let me just see if it's still available. It hasn't sold. No, it hasn't sold. So just popped up on eBay this morning is that.
Oh yeah, that one there.
In a 10, Peach Momoko.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Black Cat cards.
Now I'm showing you that, and you're probably going to quickly go on and buy it. But I'm going to try and get it now.
I don't go out of my way to do that. So
well, no, and I don't either. But you know what? Amanda, bless her, bought a sketch off me. And it was 125, and this is on at 120. So you know what? I'm having it. So I'm going to buy a card live on air, which is probably a really bad thing to do. And in fact, it's even cheaper because it was showing me the UK price with that, but I'm going to get it shipped to my buddy Donnie in the US. So with his local tax, free shipping, his local tax, $106. Thank you very much. I'll have that.
There you go.
Anyway. So I'm buying stuff live on air, but you see some crazy stuff when you go deep into character stuff.
Yeah,
Pog. It's a graded Pog. I mean, how Again, I've got Amanda to thank for that because she graded a load of them. She said, "Oh, I've got one of these for you." But the other thing I've been doing, which is probably a little bit crazy, is I think it's fairly safe to say that there's a lot of Marvel Universe 1990 out there that's been graded.
A lot of it, but it's crazy though because, well, I understand why. There again, some of that hype train around that set, and then you have the lower not necessarily lower characters, but the lower pop counts on specific characters, driving the prices up. People trying to complete their registries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does tend to make the values not make much sense when you're talking about character to character.
Yeah.
Like you typically see with other stuff. But I think it's detrimentally hurting anything that's not a 10.
Yes.
Because, and that's like you said, you're buying graded cards already. And for somebody in your position where you're in the UK, you have to pay those additional fees and
it doesn't make sense to me to grade stuff myself.
Customs and stuff.
Yeah.
Financially, it doesn't make any sense. You just buy the card and you're better off. And it's usually the best case anyways. Just buy the card. Don't worry about breaking stuff open or buying raws, hoping you can grade them. I think one of my best grading stories is I did buy a 3 set of the 1992 Masterpieces promo cards.
Ooh,
or
nice.
the prototypes.
The prototypes,
Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wolverine. And I bought the 3-pack from a gentleman that had them. They were already unwrapped, and for the most part, they looked really good online. So I was like, well, even if they don't grade well, I can just keep them for myself. And I already knew the Spider-Man wasn't going to get a 10. The centering was off on it, but I was like, okay, but I could probably get a 10 on the others. And I sent those in, and I did. I gemmed up the Hulk and I gemmed up the Wolverine. And at the point in time, I think it was I don't know how many there are now. I haven't looked, but I think it was like the 7th or 8th PSA 10 on the Wolverine. And I was only the 3rd Hulk. So there had only been 3 PSA 10 Hulks in the prototype.
Nice.
And it was crazy because I was able to sell pretty much. I held on to the Wolverine card for a little bit. I'm not a fan of the artwork on that card. That's not for me. I mean, Jusko's a fantastic artist. Nothing against his art. For me, that's just not the Wolverine I like. Right? I like him with his full suit on. I don't like Berserker Wolverine.
Yeah.
And I prefer, my favorite Wolverine is brown suit Wolverine. So I'm really hoping they bring that back for the Deadpool movie so that we can have those jokes. Hey, I see you wear your brown pants today.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine? But, the interesting thing with the 1990 Marvel Universe is because of course everyone was sending it in to be graded, but the grade PSA and they were backed up, to the point where they stopped taking stuff for a while. So all of a sudden it's flooded onto the markets as stuff has come back. And so, but the interesting thing is a lot of it is really cheap. If it's not in a 10, it's really cheap. Yeah. So you end up with a situation like me where I've got loads of them in 8s and 9s because literally they're listed and it's a price. It's like some of these I got for as low as like $10.
So my question becomes, why so many of the same one?
Because this is going to sound really crazy. It's at such a low price I couldn't not. I kid you not a single one of these have I paid more than $20 for.
Right, but if you took, I mean, I don't know how many you would have got there, 7 or 8 of them.
I've got 3 8s and 4 9s in my hand.
Okay, so
I've got more somewhere else.
If you were to sell 3 of the 8s and 3 of the 9s and still have a 9, so that'd be the highest one out of that batch, what other cards would you buy that you don't have?
To be honest with you,
that's how I look at it. Is like I don't need more than one of a specific.
I know. You know what? I know, and I never do. Actually, no, I almost never do this. There is another card that I've stacked, as the kids say, but it's not a graded one. But no, I don't know. I think it's because I saw them and I was like, that's such a good price. I'd be stupid not to. And at least 2 of them, it was because I'd forgotten I'd already bought them. Because often I buy stuff and I have it shipped to Donnie, and he ships to me like twice or 3 times a year, in bulk, which is great. And it's a really good thing that he does help.
Saves you a lot.
Love it. Yeah, I love him for it as well. So I often forget that, I've had a few drinks and I forget that I've bought something. And I think, it pops up and it's like, buy it now, $12 in a 9. Thank you very much. I love that. And it's like, and then he ships to me and I've got like 4 of the things. So But to be honest with you, no.
We got to get you on TCDB so you can track your inventory.
Yeah, I do have a massive spreadsheet, but I don't use it for my graded cards. Because the graded stuff, this is all side stuff for me. This is just
Right.
I don't. So, for example, I've got one copy in here of Women of Marvel. So there's the base for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no desire to then acquire the parallels for that in PSA graded, because I just want one copy of that card. It just happens to be that one. And the same is true for that image from that set just happens to be a bronze. But
I've been eyeballing that one.
Yeah.
It's online. I just haven't seen anybody pop up with the price that makes sense for me.
I do have a spare of it that is ungraded, that I would be more than willing to trade your way, sir. If I can find it. But we will talk about that offline. It's here somewhere. Anyway, so what's obviously Annual's wagging your tail at the moment? What would you say and also kind of, I mean, you're obviously very much into the Unbound experience and the buying.
Not as much as some of the others. So this week, like today, in an hour and a half, I'll probably pick up 4 packs if I can get them, if the servers allow me to. With characters that I'm not going hard after, like a Rogue, I went a lot into Rogue. But I'll probably just pick up 4 packs. Like, I am one of the 2 people that show up on the Unbound show that have not pulled a pack autograph yet. Soul Collectibles and myself have not pulled a pack autograph yet.
Surely your turn.
I just keep telling myself Upper Deck is saving it for the right character for me. That's what I keep telling myself.
It's out there in the universe. It'll come your way. Yeah.
Mate, I see these guys like Jen did it one week, Spidey did it one week, where they bought 4 packs and they got all 4. They got the rainbow, the base, the canvas, and the autograph. I'm like, come on, universe. But yeah, it'll come when it comes. But yeah, I mean, if it's a bigger character like a Rogue, probably wouldn't even go heavy on like a Venom or anything like that if they did that again, just because I know that's going to be so hard with the way the servers are. But if it's like if they come up with another Domino, which I don't think they will, but they are having some duplicate characters, like Morbius will be a duplicate from last year, so there's the potential. But I think this year they're kind of doing more or less villains. I think Heimdall is probably the first male one. Well, Black Panther's not really a villain, but they have a lot more villains this year than they had last year, it seems like. The female characters are kind of not as prevalent this year, but maybe they will be in later weeks. Because we've had Rogue and we've had Hela and we've had Mary Jane are the only 3 we've had so far.
MJ was good. MJ was very good.
Yeah. And we're on week 19 now. So
week 19. Oh my goodness me. See, I'm I was going to say something that sounds really. I'm old enough to remember Marvel Weekly, and since then I will never do another weekly product, because it was the most inordinately stressful thing. And Marvel Weekly was popular, but that was kind of before the. Marvel as an EPAC has increased in popularity since then, and we didn't have the bonkers of. Fred Ian adds another element of fandom because people dig his stuff. And last year, obviously, the incentive structure was built in such a way that people were jonesing for it because of those sketches. Now, I think it's better that it's there's a sketch in each week, and that seems to be kind of taking some of that heat out, if you like. I mean, it's still popular and it's still selling out within minutes, but it seems to be slightly more manageable. But having gone through it with Marvel Weekly, the first year they did it, because they did that 2 years running, and then Unbound started. So Unbound last year I did, but I never bought a single pack. I just did it, to build the set. So I just
I kind of did the same thing. So last year I think I bought into like the last 4 or 5 weeks is when I got onto EPAC for the first time. And I think my first one might have been either Storm or Jane Foster's Thor. And then I got a Wolverine. I don't think I even picked up Wizard because I was like, I don't like that character. But then this year, after going into it each week, especially with doing the show, more or less for the content, because there's characters that I wouldn't pick up But I'm like, why don't I just put a binder together of this? So I went back through Comp C and picked up and or traded for redeemed versions already.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get those home so I can get them in a binder and start working on a quote unquote master set for that.
Yeah.
Now it gets a little tricky because last year you didn't have the rainbow or the canvas parallels, and then this year you do. So for me, what I'm chasing in Unbound is just the base and the rainbow. And if I and a canvas of a character I like a rogue, I got a canvas of rogue. But other than that, they pretty much are available. If I have extras of them, other than the one I need for my redemptions. But I would say, like, if people are having trouble getting it on Monday morning and they're constantly having trouble, is just wait, just hit up the groups afterwards, and usually you can get the base card for $5 cheaper than what it's going to cost you to get a pack anyway. I mean, really, those of us opening packs are honestly searching for the autograph. Right?
Yeah, well, if and I love it. I love it. It's the thrill of it, and I've watched a few of them when you've been opening them, and it's like people get something, and the excitement is wonderful to see. And it's just to bring it back to the content thing. I mean, he says this is so meta because this is content about content. It's enabling people, because people did card videos in MCCW and various places, and I never really. I think people did them on YouTube, and obviously sports stuff has happened on YouTube for years and years and years. But less so for Marvel. Maybe people were doing some stuff. Now it feels like all of a sudden, I'm old enough to remember when, if you missed a TV show, that was it, unless you'd videoed it.
Unless you had your recorder set.
And then it was TiVo for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like on demand, and you can stream it, and you
digital
can see,
DVR, and on demand.
You can see stuff all the time. So if you want to go and watch Seinfeld, for example, I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan, or
I love currently Seinfeld. Seinfeld's hilarious.
Yeah. Serenity Now. We are. My wife hasn't got to that yet. I'm rewatching it from the beginning with my wife, and we're on season 3, and she'd never seen it. And we are kind of just at the point of season 3 where Art Vandelay has appeared as a character that George uses. Anyway, you can watch that anytime, and it's kind of like that with Marvel cards now, because there's so many new people sharing their experience of the hobby on YouTube or through various other mediums, but mainly it's YouTube, that it's like now, if I want to go and see someone opening stuff, either live or pre-recorded or whatever, it was streamed live, and I can rewatch it. I can do so. So I can go and watch you guys opening Unbound every week if I wanted to. It's bloody brilliant, and talking about it and stuff like that. So it's great because it kind of, there's someone creating some type of content, be it, if you're the type of content that does breaking news, first news about Marvel cards, there's stuff out there for you. If you want content that says investing, this is what to do, this is what not to do, I think this is where the market's going to go, that's out there. And if you want to go and see some guys just hanging out opening cards, there's you guys.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. It's because you do have those wide gamma of what is out there, so whatever you're looking for, you can find it these days, which you couldn't in the past. But sometimes that's not a good thing either. Sometimes that's a negative thing, because there are aspects of the community out there that are like, okay, you guys are just pushing this stuff now. And it's not that with anybody, I don't think. I think it's just more or less people want to share what they want to share. But I love the fact that if I want to watch a specific set to see if I like that set, especially a set I haven't bought into, like if I want to go and look at videos of the Rittenhouse sets, I can go and watch videos of the Rittenhouse sets being open and go, do I really like this artwork enough to justify to myself spending XYZ amount of money on a box of cards? Or do I just want to go buy the individual cards? Like, is the excitement going to be there for me for opening something? So that's what I indulge with my content.
It is interesting. There is, at the same time as saying that it's never been as available. You're right. There is a mistrust possibly, and I think it's because there are elements of content creation who have kind of put out stuff that may or may not be to an agenda that was misleading or misinformative and stuff like that. It's a very, very small percentage of it. And it happens in sports as well. It happens across all sorts of cards in the hobby.
But it's that small percentage that seems to get the mass attention.
It does. But unfortunately, what it does do, I find, is that it gives some people pause before they embrace stuff. And I think I understand it, because I'm friends with so many people who sit at different places in the hobby. There are some people that I'm friends with who are black hole collectors who don't do any of this stuff. Their collection is hidden, it's away. They just sit there quietly acquiring stuff. And there's other people out there who go out and show, the other end of the spectrum. And then, all the shades in between. And some people are very old school and don't collect after a certain period. So there are all kind of different colors out there. I mean, what I'm hoping to do with this, whenever this podcast finishes, I mean, this is going to be episode 169, possibly 169, maybe 170. I can't remember now. Say for example, it wraps at episode 400 or episode 300, or I get hit by a bus and it gets wrapped at episode 172. I don't know, but I'm hoping that at some point, there would be enough content here that someone would be able to see a complete cross section of different collectors, what they're into, different creators, different artists. And it's kind of like, this is an oral history of your experience in the hobby so far. And that experience might be different in 6 months' time, might be different in 6 years' time. In 6 years' time, you might you might have put it all in a dumpster and set fire to it. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
But I do find it interesting, that spectrum. So I'm grateful that you would come on and talk about it, because
sure.
I love it. I love talking about cards to people, which is kind of why this happens. Have you any sets coming up that you are stupidly excited about?
I'm a little excited about the anime set, right? Just because I loved Peach's set that she did so much. It's going to be interesting to see how this one is done and what all the artwork actually looks like. I think some of the it's disappointing she doesn't have any actual artwork in this, because even the ones that they're saying in their promo sheets are original artwork for Peach, it's not new artwork for her. It's just her original art from last year that they're putting onto a new style of card.
Is Black Cat in that? Do we know?
In this coming set, I didn't see any promos with Black Cat, so
it's going to be. It's going to be in there. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
I hope so. But so for me, I mean, I'm not big into the MCU stuff. Like, I'll buy a single box of that stuff just to open it, for a video, but or for the roundtable or whatever. But I'm not into those that much. Masterpieces, I probably will buy boxes of masterpieces, but it's going to be one of those sets like anything else. It's the premiere set for Marvel for the most part, so it's going to get costly. Especially if you're not in on the first pre-order. If you're not in on that first pre-order, it's going to get very costly very quickly, much like Spider-Man Metal did. So I'll see how many I do there. But I mean, with the way they're dropping sets nowadays, where it's like one, almost two a month, it's you don't financially, for most people, have time to recover from a set that you do buy into. So if you buy, like with Clear Ultra Avengers, if you buy too many boxes, well, now you can't get into the next one. So you got to pick and choose what you want. I like E-Pack, but the danger of E-Pack is that you get done opening and there's that buy now button.
It's the red glow casino, as we called it before.
And it's not as fun as opening up product in hand either, because you don't have that enjoyment. It's so quick, it's final, and it's done. Whereas with the packs, you can kind of sit there and enjoy a single pack of cards for a little bit. But right now I'll probably buy a few more boxes of annual, see where that goes. After that, probably gonna wait for Masterpiece to come out and Anime, just to kind of see where those are at. So I should have a little bit of time in between, even if they release like Allure next month or Beginnings.
That's the thing. You'll be skipping that, won't you, in theory? Because
I do have a couple boxes of Beginnings on pre-order from David Adams.
Oh no, I meant Allure.
I'll probably buy like one box when my hobby shop has it. I didn't pre-order that, so I'll buy one box from the hobby shop if he gets that in, and just to open it to see. And who knows? I mean, I opened up one box of WandaVision. I hit the Evan Peters auto.
Oh,
So
nice.
we'll see. We'll see what I can hit out of that. Maybe I'll pull a Hugh Jackman auto or something out of the Allure set, and
I don't think he'll be in there. No, he's not going to be.
I don't think he'll be in there. But
no, he's not
a big character, like that.
Listen,
right?
you get an Olsen or a Bettany or something like that, you'll be or Hemsworth.
Yeah. I'll be all set. So I can I can make the money back on the box just by getting rid of that card. But that's not a box I'm going to go buy multiples of. I mean, there's people out there that love that type of product, but for me, that's not my jam. Like people ask me all the time, they're like, why do you collect this? Why do you collect that? And it's like, because it looks cool. Like I don't have the backstory comic book information that a lot of these guys have on these characters. Like I know a little bit about them, but I don't know like their entire storyline and every book that they're in. Because for me, that's not what it's about. It's about, do I love the way the card looks? And that's the extent of it for me.
No, that's okay. That's absolutely cool. I mean, I didn't used to be into the MCU stuff at all. And now look, I'm magging MCU autos. On a Monday morning.
Nice.
Because that's a Black Diamond for me is just like, I'll be collecting that set for years, literally years. It hits all the buttons for me. It's shiny, it's thick for the most part, and an awful lot of them have got actual autographs on. I mean, I know they're sticker autos, but still, it's like, it's just like. Oh, it's just a lovely, lovely set. But no, I mean, annual. I have a box on the way of annual, and I'll probably get some blasters as well when they hit. Although they apparently they've been a bit delayed, the blasters, but blasters will be coming. And beyond that, I'm just kind of taking it as it comes, really, depending on how much money I've got to spend. Because until I move some more stuff, it's difficult to find the readies for it. So but yeah, I'm hoping Black Cat, now that Fantastic Four and Surfer are back in, I'm hoping Black Cat gets a little bit of a rest, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. Which is why Flare Ultra Avengers has been brilliant, because I can go into that knowing that she's not even in the game.
She's not an insert. She's not in any sort of the comic book card.
She's not on the back of the cards, just hidden away in a corner. Literally, I've got cards where she's not on the front, where she's on the back, but she's on a corner box in the back because it shows a picture of the front of a comic.
That's deep. That's deep.
I mean, I don't go as deep as some people who will collect any written mention of the character as well. So they go for checklist cards, for example.
Mm-hmm.
No, everyone's got their lines for this sort of stuff.
I miss the checklist cards.
I miss the checklist cards. I was assured, having lobbied for them quite heavily behind the scenes, I was assured by a few folk at Upper Deck that they were going to make a return, but I've yet to see them. So if you're listening, Mr. Upper Deck, please bring them back. I mean, how would you do them? I mean, look at the size of the sets.
It would have to be like, so like
it would have to be multiple cards.
Well, for Fleer Ultra Avengers, it could just be a checklist for the base set. You know what I mean? I think that's how you would do it, is you would just do it as a base set checklist. Because I don't recall. I'd have to pull the card out, but do the early 90s checklist have the battle spectrums and all that stuff on the checklist too? They do. So you would almost have to do multiple ones, but
there are sets where checklists have gone over more than one card as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, front and back. Front and back. I think when you do it that way, you have enough room to do some of these sets. If you don't throw the parallels in there too.
Yeah.
Here's the base version of everything. Then you should be okay. But I think just like with the annual where they brought back the suspended animation, the stickers, I think you can do a checklist that's just a retro style. Okay, here's your base set. Here's your primary insert for this, and do that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Good. Well, listen, I love the fact that you've been really enjoying this, and it's evident. It's almost infectious, I would say, given that you're obviously a very, very measured, very calm chap on your things, but you can see the excitement and you can see the love for what you're doing. So please keep doing it. As we've mentioned her a few times now in the course of this episode, I said that the artist intro finds you.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we put Peach Momoko at the top of this episode for the audio version?
I think that'd be fantastic.
Would that be acceptable to you?
I think that would be fantastic. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've used her a few times, and so yeah, that would be. It's always a pleasure to have Peach at the top of the show, partly because it's in Japanese. It just sounds really cool.
That's great.
So that will be Peach Momoko. Nathan, I'm going to let you go on and get ready for Unbound. And if you wouldn't mind wrapping up this week's episode, and then we can stop recording and I can find this bronze black cat.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Ian, thank you for having me. And guys, don't forget, enjoy collecting.